I never thought the worst betrayal of my life would begin in an IKEA. It was a rainy Saturday in Chicago, and I was watching my fiance, Daniel, argue with a worker about a missing couch order. He always got like this when things didn't go his way. Calm voice, slightly condescending, the kind of tone that made people bend just to get rid of him. I used to find it impressive. Now, standing next to him with a sample book of beige fabrics, I just felt tired. So you're saying, he said to the teenage employee with the kind of cold patience only Daniel could weaponize, that we drove 40 minutes for a couch that doesn't exist? The kid mumbled an apology. I squeezed Daniel's arm. Let's just look at coffee tables, okay? We'll deal with the couch later. He didn't say anything for a second. Then he sighed and turned away without another word. That was his way. He could turn off the frustration like a faucet. Me? I kept it all in my chest, like steam in a pressure cooker. I had been with Daniel for 6 years. We lived in a spotless condo with minimalist art and matching bathrobes. We had a wedding planned for next June in Tulum. On paper, everything was perfect. But lately, the paper felt more like a script I had to memorize every day to keep the illusion going. As Daniel drifted toward the showroom, my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. You don't know me, but you need to know what he's doing. I blinked. A second message followed immediately. Daniel isn't who you think he is. I looked up at him, now flipping through a coffee table catalog like nothing was wrong. My stomach dropped. I didn't reply right away. I closed my phone, shoved it into my coat pocket, and tried to pretend nothing had changed. But everything had. That night, Daniel made us grilled salmon and quinoa. We watched Netflix. He kissed my forehead before bed. I stared at the ceiling for hours, wondering who had messaged me, wondering what they knew that I didn't. By Monday, I cracked. I messaged the number back. Me. What are you talking about? The reply was instant. Meet me, I'll show you. Don't tell him. I hesitated, then typed, when? Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Cafe Luna. Come alone. Cafe Luna was tucked into a quiet corner of Wicker Park, a favorite for remote workers and couples trying to fix things. The kind of place that served lavender lattes and believed in exposed brick. I arrived early, my heart pounding like I was on the run. A woman walked in exactly at 6, mid-30s, brunette, wore a green trench coat and had the kind of eyes that had seen too much. She walked straight up to me. Emma, she asked. I nodded slowly. She slid into the seat across from me, glanced around, and then said, I'm Claire. I'm the woman your fiancé's been sleeping with for the last 4 months. Just like that. My brain rejected it at first. I stared at her, waiting for her to laugh, say it was a mistake. She didn't. I didn't know about you at first, she continued. I met him at a business networking event in February. He told me he was divorced. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Claire slid her phone across the table. I saved everything. Messages, pictures, screenshots. I needed proof for myself. And now for you. I looked. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the texts. Her name saved as L. The messages were full of inside jokes, late-night confessions, and hotel room numbers. Daniel's writing was unmistakable. I thought he was falling in love with me, she said quietly. Then I found out about your engagement. I confronted him. He told me you'd broken up. My mouth felt dry. We never broke up. I know that now. I was trying not to cry. Not here. Not in this cafe. Why tell me? I asked finally. Claire looked at me like the answer should be obvious. Because I would want someone to tell me. And because men like him don't stop until someone stops them. I didn't confront Daniel that night. Fantic, 25th of May, 2025, 15:10. Instead, I sat across from him at dinner, watched him eat, watched him smile, watched him kiss me goodnight again like he always did. I looked into the eyes of a man I no longer recognized. The next day, I called off work. I went through his laptop, his emails, his calendar. It was worse than I thought. There were others, not just Claire, two more women, maybe more. All of them with the same story. He was charming, successful, newly single, and he always left them before things got too serious. I was the one he kept. I was the lie he told so well. He believed it himself. And now I had a choice: expose him, leave him, destroy the perfect image we'd built, or stay, pretend, marry a man who lived a double life. My phone buzzed again. Claire, you okay? I stared at the screen for a long time, then I typed, not yet, but I will be. I started sleeping on the edge of the bed. Daniel didn't notice. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. He just kissed my cheek every morning like clockwork, made protein shakes, and left for work in his polished Oxfords and curated playlist of motivational podcasts. But everything had changed. I began living two lives. In one, I was the dutiful fiancé, planning floral arrangements and cake tastings. In the other, I was an undercover detective, following the loose threads of a lie so well woven, even I used to believe in it. Claire had sent me more screenshots, voice notes, photos of him half dressed in unfamiliar apartments. I created a folder on my laptop innocently labeled receipts. Every day I added to it. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I needed the full picture before I set fire to it all. I watched him closely. He still checked his phone with the screen turned away. Still took conference calls that always ended just before dinner. Once he claimed to be in a meeting but forgot his Apple Watch on the bathroom counter. It buzzed for 10 straight minutes with texts from someone named T. T, missed last night. Thinking of you. You're not ghosting me, right? You said this weekend? He came out of the shower, toweling off his hair. Your watch was going off, yeah, I said. Oh, yeah, it's work stuff. Client in Singapore, different time zone. I nodded. Right, of course. He kissed me, water still clinging to his jawline, and I wondered how many women had tasted the same lie. By the third week, I was different. Colder. Smarter. I started answering his calls with a cheerful tone I didn't mean. I stopped asking where he was going because I already knew. Claire and I were in regular contact now. We'd become a strange team, bound not by friendship, but by the man who had played us both like fools. One day she messaged me, Claire, I found something, a storage unit. He's renting it under a different name. Me, what the hell does he need a storage unit for? Claire, want to find out? The unit was in a gray, nondescript building on the city's edge. Claire and I stood in front of it in silence, the rolling shutter locked tight. But she had connections, apparently, a friend who owed her a favor. 10 minutes later, we were inside. The contents were simple but damning: women's clothing, photos, love letters, a box full of birthday cards addressed to L, and then, most disturbing of all, a small velvet ring box. Inside it was a diamond ring, not the one Daniel gave me, a different one. I felt like I was looking into a life I didn't know he had, a life he was rehearsing with me and performing with someone else. Claire didn't say anything. She just let me stand there, absorbing the sickness of it all. He hadn't just been cheating. He'd been living entire alternate realities. And that night, I did something reckless. I confronted him, but not how he expected. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just waited until we were in bed, the lights off, the world quiet. Do you love me? I asked. He paused. Of course I do. Are you sure? Another pause. What's going on? I rolled onto my side. Nothing, just tired. And then, like always, he kissed my shoulder, pulled me in, and fell asleep within minutes. I lay awake for hours. The next morning, I called Claire. I want to end it, but on my terms. What do you mean? I want him to feel it. I want him to see what it's like when everything shatters. The plan came together fast. Claire was good at secrets. I was good at pretending. We were both done being used. We created a fake persona, a new woman, one more irresistible than either of us. Her name was Maya. She met Daniel through an online business forum. Her messages were flirtatious, just mysterious enough to pique his interest. We used a burner phone, stock images, an Instagram account with just enough glamour and vague captions. It took him exactly 3 days to respond. Daniel, you seem interesting. What do you do? From there, it escalated quickly. Fantic, 25th of May, 2025, 15:16. He was a pattern. Once you understood the rhythm, you could predict every move. Claire and I watched as he fell right into it. He set up a meeting. He offered to take Maya to lunch. He even sent a photo, him in his office, holding a coffee cup. I stared at it in disbelief. The same office where I'd once brought him cupcakes, the same mug I'd bought on a trip to Seattle. We had him, but we weren't finished yet. That weekend, Daniel took me to a friend's engagement party. We smiled for pictures, drank champagne, danced under string lights. People called us relationship goals. And the entire time, I knew that in 48 hours, I'd be gone, that everything around me was about to collapse like a house of cards in slow motion. Still, I smiled. Still, I laughed. Because sometimes revenge is quiet. Sometimes it waits. On Monday morning, I left the apartment like everything was normal. I kissed Daniel on the cheek. He told me I looked beautiful and that we should order sushi that night. I smiled and said, "Sounds good." Then I walked out the door, left the keys on the console table, and never looked back. Everything I owned was already in a storage unit on the south side. Claire helped me move it the night before while Daniel was working late. I'd slept in a hotel, staring at the ceiling, repeating one phrase to myself like a mantra. He doesn't deserve to be the one who walks away clean. Daniel thought he was the director of the show. He didn't know the script had changed. He didn't know I had edited the ending. Claire and I had booked the restaurant, same one he was supposed to meet Maya in. Private table, candlelight, reservation under a fake name. He showed up 5 minutes late looking like he was trying too hard. Hair perfectly styled, button-down shirt, no tie. That confident walk he always had, like the world owed him attention. But there was no Maya waiting. Only two women, me and Claire. He froze. It was the first time I'd seen real fear in his eyes. "Emma," he said, like my name was a question. I just smiled. Claire leaned back in her seat, arms crossed. "Sit down, Daniel." He didn't move. Claire dropped her phone on the table and pressed play. A recording played on speaker, one of his voice messages to her. Sexy, soft. "Can't stop thinking about you. Don't know how much longer I can pretend." His face drained of color. "Still think you're good at this?" I said quietly. "Emma, this isn't what you think. Save it." I slid a flash drive across the table. "Everything is on there. Your emails, your burner accounts, the storage unit, your texts to T, to L, and to whoever else you forgot to delete." He didn't touch the drive. "I don't want your explanations," and I said, "I want you to remember this moment every time you think you got away with something." Claire leaned forward. "And I want you to know, you didn't just hurt her. You humiliated all of us. You made us feel stupid. Disposable." He looked like a man unraveling. Then I said the line he never saw coming. "You don't know me, but you need to know what he's doing." His mouth opened, then closed. He understood. That first message, that was me. Not some mysterious stranger. Me from the very beginning. "You," he whispered, "you tricked me." "I learned from the best," I said. I stood up, took a final breath of the man I used to love, and walked out of the restaurant. Claire followed. We didn't say anything for a while, just walked through the night air, two women bound by betrayal, no longer victims, but architects of justice. I didn't cry. I didn't regret. I just felt free. The next morning, I changed my number, deleted his contact, sent my boss a request for remote work, and booked a one-way flight to Lisbon. New name, new life. But before I left, I sent him one last message from an untraceable email. "I hope one day you meet someone like you, and I hope it destroys you." Daniel didn't show up to work for 4 days. By the end of the week, his name was quietly removed from the company's Our Team page. Word got around fast. He'd been exposed for violating client trust, conducting shady personal relationships that bled into his professional life. No one knew the full story, but in the end, they didn't need to. Scandal doesn't need facts to do damage. He tried calling me. I never answered. He tried messaging Claire. She blocked him. I heard through mutual friends that he told people he'd been set up, that he was ambushed by a jealous ex and a crazy woman. The truth was too heavy for him to carry, so he twisted it into something lighter, something that didn't make him the villain. But the truth has a weight of its own, and it catches up. His Instagram went quiet. The gym selfies, the motivational quotes, the filtered brunch photos, they stopped. He became a ghost in the algorithm, like the internet itself was embarrassed for him. And me, I was in Lisbon. The first week was disorienting. I didn't know where to buy milk. I didn't know how to ask for directions. I didn't know who I was anymore without him. But that was the point. I rented a tiny apartment with a balcony that looked over the red rooftops. The walls were uneven, the shower made strange noises, and there was no dryer, but it was mine. Entirely mine. I made lists of things I wanted to try: surfing, learning Portuguese, kissing a stranger, getting drunk in the middle of the afternoon and not feeling guilty, writing again. I started with the last one. Every morning I walked to a little cafe near the water and filled page after page. I wrote about the woman I used to be, about the lies I mistook for comfort, about the version of me that smiled through warning signs. And slowly, the rage softened. Grief came next, then relief. And one morning, sitting under the sun with coffee in hand, I realized something I hadn't dared admit out loud. I didn't miss him, not even a little. But peace has a way of being interrupted. It was late. I'd just gotten out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, scrolling through my phone when I saw it. An email, no subject line, just a name in the sender box. Lena Martin. I almost deleted it, figured it was spam. But something about it froze me. I clicked. You don't know me, but you need to know what he's doing. My breath caught in my throat. The same words I had sent Daniel months ago, the same trap. But now, someone else was sending them to me. Attached was a screenshot. It was Daniel, laughing on a boat, shirt off, arms around two women. The caption read, "Summer with my favorite girl's hard eyes, shocked to new beginnings." I blinked, stared, then laughed, a short, bitter sound. Of course. Of course he'd find a new cast, a new show, a new mask. But I wasn't angry, not anymore. I hit reply. I do know you, because I used to be you. Run now, and don't look back. Then I hit send, shut the laptop, and poured myself a glass of wine. Let him drown in the mess he keeps creating. I was done saving people who didn't want to be saved. The thing no one tells you about closure is that you don't feel it all at once. It comes in pieces, quiet, inconvenient, sometimes boring pieces. For me, it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a final scream or a message left unread. It was an ordinary Tuesday. I was walking back from the market with a baguette under my arm, tomatoes in my bag, and a voice memo from a new friend playing in my ears. The air smelled like sea salt and fresh pavement. And suddenly I realized I hadn't thought about Daniel in over a week. Not his face, not his lies, not even the ring I once wore like a promise. Just nothing. A few days later, Claire messaged me. We hadn't talked much since everything went down. Not because we were avoiding each other, but because we both needed our own space to rebuild. Her message was short. He reached out again. I ignored it. Felt good. Hope Lisbon is treating you well. I smiled and wrote back. He's someone else's burden now. Lisbon is everything. One night, I finally opened the box I had packed in a rush back in New York. It held remnants of my old life. The save the date card we never sent, the earrings he gave me on our second anniversary, the silly photo strip from the photo booth at Coney Island. I looked at it all without pain, and then I did something I thought I'd never do. I threw it away. Not in anger, in peace. Because healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about deciding that what happened doesn't define you anymore. There's a man I've been seeing here. His name is Raphael. He owns a used bookstore and makes terrible coffee, but has the kindest laugh I've ever heard. We met when I knocked over an entire display of poetry books and nearly broke his glasses. We don't talk about the past much. He doesn't ask why I flinch when someone texts after midnight. I don't ask who broke his heart before me. Sometimes we sit on the beach in silence, and that's enough. He asked me once if I believe in soulmates. I said, I used to. He asked, and now? I smiled. Now I believe in timing. I don't think I'll ever see Daniel again. I don't need to. I know how his story goes. I've read that chapter over and over, but mine is unwritten. And this time, I'm the one holding the pen.